Hello everybody and welcome back to Odin's Movie Blog. I am the critic who is a cynic. Hope you're doing well, and today we're going to be talking about Solo, a Star Wars story. Yes, somehow, some way, Solo, a Star Wars story is now trending on Twitter and social media because there are apparently a hardcore group of fans that want Solo 2 to come out. They want a sequel to Solo. Now, isn't it interesting how the media is covering this? They're acting as if, oh my gosh, the fans want more. Oh my gosh, this is a giant movement. This is gigantic. And yet, what were the stories when The Phantom Menace was coming out against The Last Jedi? Where were the stories when The Phantom Menace was coming out against Solo, and then the movie ended up losing money in the box office? Oh wait, that's right. They were in the pocket of Disney. They were shilling it out, and so they didn't say anything. Or if they did say anything, then it was negative against the fans. But now, because this is about promoting Disney and promoting more Disney content and promoting more of this nonsensical content, oh, we have to protect, we have to stand up for this. Good Lord, the media is just ridiculous and seriously so damn predictable. So, as the headline says from CNET, a once reputable name in news, says Star Wars fans push for Star Wars Solo to a year after its box office stumble. Stumble is a very polite word. Solo Star Wars story wasn't the mega hit Disney hoped it would be, but fans still want more. Wasn't the mega hit that Disney hoped it would be. Once again, that is putting it pretty lightly. Solo wasn't a box office hero, but it still earned a lot of fan love. Really interesting. So I love how you, again, spin this, and yet where were you? Please, where were you for the backlash against The Last Jedi? You acted as if it was just a small group of, they were just a small group of sexist fans. There was a small group, and yet now all of a sudden, it's my God, it's a gigantic group, and it's huge. It's so huge. Only because they are these channels that you promote that are Disney approved shill channels that you will cover, but Geeks and Gamers and people like me and Ethan Van Sciver and other channels, no, you won't cover us because, we're just a small group of, we're just a small minority of fans. But Solo, oh my God, Solo was gigantic. Let me explain how that argument just does not hold any damn water whatsoever. But as it says up here, Solo Star Wars story arrived in May 2018 and quickly became the lowest grossing Star Wars film in recent memory. No, it was the lowest grossing Star Wars film of all time because it's the only film to lose money. It is the only Star Wars film in history to lose money. CNET, get your facts straight. But sometimes bummers turn into runners. A year later, Star Wars fans are rallying for a sequel to young Han Solo's story. Oh, really? Really? How many? How many would you say? Box Office Mojo shows Solo pulled in under $400 million worldwide. Compared that with The Last Jedi 2017, which banked $1.3 billion. It's no wonder Disney didn't rush to the sequel plans. Also, keep in mind that $1.3 billion is a whole $700 million less than The Force Awakens. But, let's not talk about facts and figures here. Some fans attributed the poor... Here we go. Some fans attributed the poor showing to the marketing campaign or fan anger over the events of The Last Jedi. As it turns out, Solo was a fun romp of a film with engaging performances from Alden Ehrenreich in the lead role, Emilia Clarke as Kira, and Donald Glover as Lando Calrissian. Thank you so much for pontificating from your totally objective standpoint. The hashtag Make Solo 2 Happen hit the trending charts on Twitter on Thursday with a push for the Star Wars Newsnet and its Resistance broadcast podcast. This is, seriously, it's so interesting how this is a trend. This Make Solo 2 Happen. That is talked about being trending on Twitter. And yet The Phantom Menace, that never got any coverage. That was never seen trending on Twitter. Oh, that's because you didn't have the numbers. No, it was a lot of people who were saying it. There were a lot of people tweeting at it, but guess what? This just goes to show you that when it comes to these things, they're going to silence it. Why? Because they're going to point and paint anything that is against the status quo as being alt-right, or as being evil, or as being racist or sexist, and so that's how they justify. They say, the reason why is because our algorithm saw it and said, this is from a bunch of hateful, racist, sexist people, and so therefore we're not going to give it any attention. But when this happens, oh no, my gosh, it's so big, it's trending, it's so huge, we need to make Solo 2 happen, everyone. Even though the box office shows you why that clearly should not happen. Star Wars fans were ready to get on board, tweeting their support for a movie sequel or a streaming series on Disney+. Make it happen from all of these great people, right? Right? Oh man, some checkmark people, some verified people too. Oh, isn't this great? Director Ron Howard, who took over as original director's left, had already noticed how Solo was catching on after its digital release in September. He tweeted about how the movie Rotten Tomatoes score was creeping higher. As more people are catching the Solo Star Wars story, I noticed Rotten Tomatoes audience score is creeping higher. Thanks for rating it. Or could it possibly be because Rotten Tomatoes, which has just changed its algorithm and just changed the way that it takes movie ratings from audience members just this past week, is deleting scores, which happened to be negative? because maybe there was no review attached. Maybe because someone says, oh, I didn't like it, so I'm going to give a half star. Let me give a 1-star review. And then they're like, oh, they didn't leave a review, so therefore we're not going to count it. Now they're not going to count really anything that isn't verified. You have to buy a ticket. This is the way that it works now on Rotten Tomatoes. You have to buy a ticket through Fandango, not through any other service. You have to buy a ticket through Fandango to be verified to leave a review, and you'll get a verified check mark or a verified tag badge next to your name if you leave a review. And this is their attempt to try and not have the trolls take over. And isn't it interesting that they've done it just in time for another Disney release? Now, if you want my thoughts on Aladdin, go ahead and look at the video that I made yesterday. It's actually not as terrible as some people might think it might be. It's not good. It's something that shouldn't happen. But isn't it interesting that almost every major change that has happened over on Fandango Rotten Tomatoes has corresponded to a Disney release? Doesn't that make it seem like they might be in bed with Disney just a little bit? I mean, obviously, it's a little bit conspiratorial. I don't have any evidence to it. But when was the last major change? Oh, wait, that's right, Captain Marvel. When people were saying, I don't want to see Captain Marvel. That's all they were doing, is saying, I don't want to see it. They were oh my God, they were review bombing. They were leaving fake reviews. No, they were leaving a thumbs down saying, no, I don't want to see this. I have no interest in seeing it. And guess what? A lot of people didn't want to see it. Yes, people did see it, made over $1 billion. No one's denying that fact. However, if you're going to try and say that people went to go see it because, oh my God, they wanted to see Captain Marvel on the big screen, and not because, oh my God, we've been told that this is important when it comes to Endgame, and oh my God, we love Marvel, and so Marvel's not going to let us down, and also, oh my God, do you realize that there's so many 3D showings, and it's in almost every single screen available, and the only movies that have more screens in it are Infinity War and Endgame? Oh my gosh, can you believe it? It's not as hard then when you take all those factors in to understand why that film made $1 billion. But it really is just so ridiculous that they are now spinning their webs, spinning their narratives to try and say, oh my gosh, guys, Solo, it should be saved. When these are the same people, especially in the media, who are writing off Alita, saying, oh nope, Alita, oh my gosh, Alita, it lost like $30 million at the box office. Can you believe it? Oh my gosh. Let's talk about how much money Solo, a Star Wars Story, actually lost. Notice how they didn't actually go into that. They didn't actually go into the details of how much money it lost. And you want to know why? Because they don't want to do it, because it is just too sad. So as you can see, BoxOfficeMojo.com, which is a site that they reference themselves. So obviously they, over at CNET, think that there's a lot of validity here. And I always use BoxOfficeMojo.com myself. And obviously you can see it's connected to IMDb in some way. What we see here is that the worldwide total for Solo Star Wars Story was $392.9. Let's say $393 million. Ooh, a whopping amount. It cost, production-wise, $275 million. Remember that the reason why it cost so much was because Kathleen Kennedy, who obviously has no idea what she's doing, decided to stop the film production 80% of the way through the making of the film and start again with a new director. Which, again, if you are 80% of the way through a project and it's just then you realize that the project's not going the way it should, maybe you're not the best person to be the head of Lucasfilm. Just saying. Obviously, we think that she should go because she has no idea what she's doing. This was a key example, showing of that. So Ron Howard takes over, balloons the production budget. Don't forget that it also costs marketing. It also costs marketing, and for anyone that was saying, oh, it was poor marketing, and so we're going to blame poor marketing. You can blame poor marketing all you want. The fact is they still marketed this film like any other Disney film would be. So let's add to that. That means that the overall cost of this film was close to $400 million or so. How do I get that number? $275 is the production budget. Usually about 50% of that added on to it is what they spend on marketing, and so around $400 million, all right? So it made $392, right? Well, remember, overall, when you take in all of the box office receipts from both the overseas and also the domestic totals, most studios only really walk away with around 60% of the entire revenue because they get a lot of money opening weekend, not as much down the road, but also in overseas markets like China, they only get about 25%. They get a very small portion. So let's take that into account, a 60% take. That means that this film lost minimum $150 million and closer likely to $200 million. So this film lost $150 to $200 million at the box office. And yet they're saying, oh my gosh, it was a success. Here's my question. Where in the hell were you when this movie came out? Where in the hell were you? Because obviously you weren't at the box office, because if you were at the box office, this film would have made money. You realize that, like, the only other film, that there's been no other film in the history of Star Wars to ever make this little money. And you can try and point to say, oh, well, technically it made less than this. But yeah, if you adjust for inflation, then that automatically just takes it out of the entire thing. Let's go ahead. Let's go to the series of Star Wars. Let's see. Where does this actually fall into it? So $213 million, that is the domestic totals. Where's the worldwide? Adjusted for ticket price inflation. I think this is still just the domestic totals. Do you have worldwide? Worldwide unadjusted totals. Let us see where it is. Solo: A Star Wars Story is ranked 10th with 392. This means that it is the lowest grossing of all time. Now, somebody say, oh, but the Clone Wars movie, that didn't make any money. That movie, that wasn't meant to make any money. Remember that they made a series out of that, and the series was great and was one of the most beloved things that Star Wars has done since the prequels, and much better than the prequels. But notice how even like re-releases and special editions get pretty close. The Star Wars Special Edition that came out in 1997, worldwide, like only made $100 million or so less than Solo: A Star Wars Story, a brand new story. Return of the Jedi, when you adjust that number for inflation, it goes up a lot. Empire Strikes Back goes up a lot. Original Star Wars goes up a lot. Clone Wars, I mean, seriously. So that means that when you adjust all of these movies for inflation, not only is Solo the lowest grossing Star Wars film of all time, but it's the lowest grossing Star Wars film of all time by a lot. And so how can anyone in their right mind, seriously, how can you, CNET, how can you, all the people that are pushing this hashtag, in your right mind, think that this movie deserves a sequel? It lost $150 to $200 million. Not just that, it's also the lowest grossing film of Star Wars films of all time. And it is the only Star Wars film to lose money. The only one. And yet this film deserves to get a sequel? This movie deserves to have its story continued? I mean, the box office spoke pretty clearly that they didn't want this movie. I mean, seriously, where were you? Where were you when this film came out? Where were you and where was everyone else that supposedly now loves the movie? And I love how, again, you have these people trying to spin it. Ron Howard saying, oh my God, it must be doing well on digital release because now the score is going up. Or could it possibly be because Rotten Tomatoes is in bed with Disney and is deleting scores and is now making it harder than ever for people to just be honest? One of the many reasons why I have my own website. Again, just a shameless plug for myself, ombReviews.home.blog. Yes, it's imperfect. Yes, it is definitely a work in progress, but guess what? You can leave any grade you want. You can leave your reviews. I'm not going to delete them. Also, we got this really nifty scoring system. Yes, it's obviously a work in progress, but still, hey, I'm not going to delete these. These are all live updating scores. You can leave as many reviews as you want. You can go to any of the movies that are currently out right now. Right now, Aladdin is out. You can rate it. Obviously, a lot of people were not interested in seeing it. The one person that voted said it was awesome. It was great. Again, left a review for it. I'm not going to delete the review. Why would I delete that? I'm not like Rotten Tomatoes. I'm not going to delete your reviews. Unless you put something that's just a racist thing and obviously not relevant to any discussion, those would be the only cases in which anything would be deleted. But if you don't like a movie, go ahead and leave a review. Go ahead and leave a rating. If you want to go give a more detailed rating, you can go to the submit a score and you get to actually fill out a card grading the acting, grading the editing, the cinematography, all these things. And then subjectively, overall, what was your thoughts on the movie? This allows for you to give a more objective and subjective score. But seriously, if you honestly think these people out there pushing for this, that this film deserves a sequel, you're out of your mind. You are out of your freaking mind if you think this is the case. This film lost close to $200 million at the box office. Nobody saw it. Most people who saw it didn't like it or were mixed on it at best because it's a film that no one wanted in the first place. And secondly, if you're trying to tell me, and I mean, I love how they're saying, oh, Alden Ehrenreich's dynamic performance. Alden Ehrenreich might be a fine actor, but he's not Han Solo. He doesn't fit that role. Like as Donald Glover as Lando Calrissian. I mean, sure, you could say Donald Glover is a good actor, but I'm sorry, so sorry. Him now being in love with a robot, a stupid character arc. Like, does not make any sense with the character that has been established previously. This is a film that no one wanted in the first place. And they show that by not seeing it. And now somehow all of these people are coming out of the woodwork trying to start a hashtag saying, make Solo 2 happen, make it happen, make it happen. And all I can say is that if they actually listen to this, and yet they still refuse to listen to and address the fandom menace and the huge backlash that led to this film losing that much money, then in all honesty, what other evidence do we need to show you that there is an obvious connection between Disney, the media companies, and also, of course, sites like Rotten Tomatoes in the box office? Anyway, guys, what are y'all's thoughts about all of this? Please let me know all your thoughts on Solo 2. Do you think Solo deserves a film, even just objectively speaking? If you were told that a film lost $200 million and you said, oh, we want to make a sequel, would you honestly think, oh, yeah, we should give it? This film deserves it. No, you honestly wouldn't. And no one in their right mind would. Seriously. Anyway, we'd love to hear your thoughts on this and all of the other things going on in the news today in the comments below. Going to see Brightburn in about 2 hours. Cannot wait to get back to you guys with a review on that. Please, if you like this video, smash the like button, give me a thumbs up, give me a subscribe. You're all amazing, beautiful people. Seriously, you are all fantastic. Screw YouTube because its algorithm is constantly being changed. People are getting unsubbed all the time. Not people unsubbing, but people just getting unsubbed. So please make sure that you are still subscribed. And if you want notifications, you have to click the bell. Otherwise, you won't get notified because that's just how YouTube works. You can also follow me on Discord, on Twitter, where I post all of those things too. And follow me there if you want updates on that and many other things going on in my life. I also have the secondary channel, which you can find in the eye above my head, where I talk about some more personal stuff. Go a little bit behind the scenes with more vlog type content. Obviously, my review for Brightburn is going to be a vlog because I'm going to go to the theater and see the experience of what's going on a Friday morning. But anyway, please support the channel. I would appreciate it. You're all amazing. Reach out to me if you ever have any questions. And of course, as always, God bless.